Matthew 5:14 through 17. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let our light so shine before men, and that they may see our good works, and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Think not that I come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. Then Ephesians 5:8 through 10. For ye were sometimes darkness, but now are ye light in the Lord. Walk as children of light. For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness and righteousness and truth, proving what is acceptable unto the Lord. And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. When I was a kid, there was a TV show on TV. It was called Gilligan's Island. How many remember Gilligan's Island? I remember one time Gilligan was walking back to the camp with a huge load of coconuts. And he's seen the skipper, and he says, you know, skipper, one coconut doesn't weigh very much, and 2 coconuts don't weigh very much. But when you got a lot of things that weigh not very much, that's heavy. And you know, there's a lot of burden that's in the state of Michigan. And one person can't do it all. The next couple months, we're going to talk about the cooperation between 275 churches of the Southern Baptist Convention and how they can get the work done. Because one person can't do it all. But it starts with us. It starts with the individual. Dr. Freight Page, he commented on the remarkability of the cooperative program by saying, I see a mounting urgency and a growing consensus among our pastors to advance the gospel through SBC mission and ministries, fueled through the cooperative program in our own backyard and beyond. The cooperative program starts with the individual. 2 Corinthians 8:5 says, and not just as we had hoped. Instead, they gave themselves, especially to the Lord, then to us by God's will. When we give ourselves over to God, then out of our gratitude and obedience to God for what He has done for us, we commit to give back to Him. When we give to the church collectively, the church decides the next step. Every year, our church decides how much of its gifts is going to be committed to reach people in our community, our state, and around the world through the cooperative program. The bottom line is, people around the world need to hear the gospel and receive Christ. And it starts at home. We're going to watch a series of videos. The first video is by Dr. Tim Patterson, who is the executive director of our Baptist State Convention of Michigan. The convention is made up of 275 cooperating churches, seeking ways to reach our state for Christ. The title of the video is Sharing the Light.
We are not the producers of the light. We are just possessors of the light. It is our absolute responsibility to share that light. If we don't tell people, who will? If we don't go, who will? We desperately need to punch holes in this massive darkness of Michigan. The whole of Michigan is desperately in need of revival. Planting churches is one of the best ways to reach lost people. There is just the opportunity to win more people to Jesus. It just works. We want to have vibrant, live, strong, successful, multiplying churches. pastor and his family are strong, then the church is going to be strong. And so we're doing everything we can to help those pastors to be healthy and strong and prepared. There are always going to be needs in Michigan. We need to mobilize and send our churches to other churches and mission fields right here in Michigan. And when we give of ourselves to go somewhere else, when we give of our finances to help someone else, when we give outside of us where we get absolutely nothing from it, we're never more like Jesus when we're doing that. There are places that we need to truly impact Michigan. I'm just excited to see what God's going to do as we plant new churches, as we revitalize churches that are existing, because there are churches all over Michigan that are ready to do more. And this mission offering is going to help us do more to impact the local church in Michigan, like we have before.
All right, so one of the statements Dr. Patterson made was that if the pastor and his family are strong, then the church will be strong. So here's a couple of questions for us to consider. Do we view Pastor Mike and Donna as strong? He does a lot of work in the church. I know he does. One thing that we can help our community is volunteering in the church. 4 people have volunteered to work the inflatables. We could use one more person. We're going to hand out the TrueLife.org cards and invite some people to church. That's one way we can help our community. We need to pray for our community. What are some ways that we can help strengthen them? Everybody has a weakness, but Paul said, it's through his weakness that God is strongest. So, if there's a weakness, we as a church, we need to step in and help, right? So, if there's a way that or if there's something that you feel that should be done and it's not being done, take initiative and get it done, right? So, as we cooperate with other churches in reaching our state, it means we want to make sure that new pastors and families are getting the support they need. This includes praying for them. It's important to pray for our pastors and their families. And you support them financially, and making sure that they are plugged into an emotional support system made up of other pastors. When a new church is planted, these are the essential elements that are needed for that church to succeed. The next video is about a new church plant in Grandville, Michigan. It's over there by Grand Rapids. This pastor and his wife experienced devastating things in their lives. Listen to their story.
Our setting church sent us back to my hometown to plant Redemption Church, and what drew us here was the need for gospel-centered churches. Our relationship with the SBC in the state of Michigan has been really huge for us. Josh, I think making Jesus famous was his mission, and I just love watching that. We see the scriptures that, God often tells us that we're going to suffer if we're a child of His. And for me, those things became reality.
When we first got married, it was right out of college, and 4 or 5 years down the road, we were going to have kids and, buy a house, and that's not what actually happened. God did something different for us.
My wife Stephanie was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer 11 months into our marriage. And it was a scary 7 years for us, actually. And so God put us at a crossroads to say, are you going to trust me with your life, or are you going to pull away?
We just really wanted to continue to do ministry and love on the kids and just follow God wherever He led us.
Steph had cancer come back 4 different times, and she's had 2 bone marrow transplants, and after the second transplant, she was cancer-free for 18 months. And so we got the call that her cancer was gone 1 year after her second transplant. We were like, this is awesome. And in that moment, she started to shake really bad. When I got her to the hospital, she was on a ventilator. And there she was with no hair, on a ventilator, and I'm thinking, this is it. And that was the first time for me that I really doubted.
Even times of feeling so alone, I knew that He understood and He was always with me and He wasn't going to leave me.
I know that He is a God that can handle my anger, my shortcomings, and my frustrations. That your gospel has changed everything. It has invaded our life. And it has changed. I feel like that's been a rallying point for us as a church. And so we want to communicate with our brokenness out front. That we've seen His power and His hand involved in every aspect of every step of her cancer story and our ministry story.
This June will be 4 years cancer-free, which is amazing to even say.
Sharing the light is a lifelong calling, and we sum it this way, redemption, that God has you where He has you to advance the gospel through you. I love the phrase sharing the light, and part of my heartbeat and mission and vision is to see more lights, church plants. We carry that light of Jesus Christ to those who don't yet know Him.
After all that, I think I look at the future as one day at a time, just not planning out years in advance because God might have something different.
Pastor Mike, he states that we often have a picture in our mind about what serving Christ is. For example, it might be bringing a person to Christ, witnessing, talking to people about Christ. It might be talking to a friend or family member or even a complete stranger out of suicide. Well, these are examples of serving Christ. We cannot forget that how we handle adversity, that's just as much of a picture of serving Christ as bringing someone to Christ. Now, how we handle ill health or failing finances, struggling relationships, or even the death of a loved one. How we handle that is essential to service. Our light must shine in our struggles. They call it a struggle because we're not through it yet. And God's with us in our struggles. 7 years, this couple, the emotional up and downs. What would it take for somebody to continue on or to stop somebody from serving Christ? We've known missionaries for many years, and they go to foreign countries and they get some really bad health problems. Some quit, some don't. What takes people to continue? And that's really the love for Christ. So if you're struggling, if you are having a struggle that is dimming your light, you don't need to share what the struggle is, but admit it so we can pray for you. I know for the last year, there's been something going on with our family, and it is a struggle. And sometimes we wonder, why, God? Why are you doing this to our family? But it's how in understanding this, it's how we work through that struggle. It's just as important and are serving for Christ. Sorry. The next video is about a track star who became a church planter in Michigan.
I graduated from Linford High School in 2009. I ran track my senior year of high school, and I was blessed to break some records here at the school, to make some new records. One thing I can say about this track in particular is I always shared some very intimate and progressive moments with the Lord on this track. Every day I walk asking God, why did he want me to preach? Why was he calling me to preach? And I kept telling him, no, I didn't want to. And he told me that I was going to preach. We've been challenged to have a broken heart over the broken walls of cities across this nation, and Detroit is just one of those cities. The way that we try to reach this community is by, first of all, recognizing that we have to engage people in a real way, that we have to meet the needs of people so that they understand that we become the hands and the feet of God. A year and a half ago, my wife and I decided to join the Upward Victory. That's what we needed. To be able to join a ministry that has grassroots ministry, that's not afraid to hit the streets. And so that's what I like about Pastor Gabby. I don't see him as Jesus, but I see him as Christ-like. We need to value one another just as much as other people value. Stephen's a very articulate and educated young man who is a family man, a great husband, a great father, and he's a great preacher. My heart was to engage him to become a church planter. That's a great example of accountability. We're looking at the Madison Heights community. It's an underserved community when it comes to gospel teaching and gospel preaching churches, and God pressed on his heart to step into that community with the gospel. I definitely, over these last 4 years, have become really intertwined within the Madison Heights community, within certain families, and so the Lord said, why not Madison Heights? The folks in the surrounding cities to Detroit needed as much gospel as the folks right here in the city of Detroit. What I've said about our urban communities and our urban cities, you can visually see how tough it is. Well, when you move out into the suburban communities, it doesn't look as tough. And I say that's because they have the money, the resources to hide what looks bad in this context. We need to be sharing and showing that light across our communities, across the state of Michigan. In high school, people knew that I had the light of Christ in my life. But the only difference with me was I never shared the light. And so I feel like God has been gracious enough to give me a second opportunity and a second chance to come back to share the gospel message to people who I didn't get a chance to witness to.
So the North American Mission Board seeks to match church planners to the kind of population that they will be reaching. Not just anybody qualifies. We can be confident that our resources are not being wasted on people who are not equipped for the task. Like I said before, it starts with us, by our giving, and for them to train the right people for the right church. The last video is about a church that was planted in the 1950s. It's not too far away from us. It grew and sponsored many church plants in northern Michigan, but then recently experienced dramatic decline. What did they do? Watch this video.
Well, the First Methodist Church of Clyde started in the 1950s. And it also was a lighthouse church for much of Michigan. Many new churches in northern Michigan were sponsored by this church.
I was born and raised here in Clyde, so I'm, I guess what you call a native. When we first came to First Baptist in the 70s, the building was packed, there were kids running up and down the hall, And the church was vibrant. Unfortunately, First Baptist has aged, not necessarily gracefully. We reached our low point probably a year and a half ago, and we were down to maybe 20, 25 people.
It got to the point that they realized as a church that it looked like they may have had 2 months left.
If I could put a word to it, frustration.
They as a church voted to become a legacy church, and everybody that was a leader in the church basically was giving up their leadership position, and they were kind of surrendering the church over. And by doing this, they're not just on their own. It brings in the resources of the association as well as the North American Mission Board and the Baptist State Convention of Michigan. And so a replanter, when he comes in, doesn't need to start from scratch, to build on the legacy of the church that was here. And so John here was recommended for placement.
Coming into this, understanding that the church had already voted to become a legacy church, with the idea that, hey, we understand there's going to be some changes, I see this awesome support system, and they want to see a church grow. They want to see people coming to Christ, and I absolutely love that heart that I found here.
I'm thankful that the church realized that there was hope.
We have this beacon right here in the center, and if we could have that light shine, that would be fantastic.
What I want to see, I guess immediately in the area, to establish a reputation in this community that we are for this community and that we love this community.
They need to be able to look at the people that are here. What do they have that I really need? I guess that's my dream, is to be able to answer that question. And if we here at First Baptist can make that happen, that's my dream.
So a legacy church is a new strategy for the Michigan Baptist. A legacy church is a church that wants their legacy to continue, but are facing such a crisis, they're on the verge of closing their doors. The church, like I said, the church needs to surrender all its leadership and accept the legacy team made up of people appointed by the state convention. So let's make sure we continue to pray for the First Baptist Church of Clio and this new strategy as they continue to reach their community for Christ. It starts with us. And the emphasis on our missions for the next couple months. Take this week and think about what you can do for this mission. I know it took me a long time to start giving to missions, and I don't know why. I'm a tightwad, I guess. But think about this week as if you can give extra. Because as you watch these videos, it's the work that, it's not, like I said, it's not just us, because one person can't do it. And just one church can't do it. But the 275 churches in this cooperation, we can get it done.